Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the old Bill Crane Report with my friend Dwayne Weiss.
Hi there.
We're here today to bring you some topics that are in the news and some that aren't in the news. It should be in the news. A couple of things I'm going to start with, though. Number one, as we tape this, it's September 5th.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
It is. Summer's over.
Wow, summer just flew by
Yeah,
this year.
did. Was there and then it wasn't. I don't miss the heat.
No.
And it was certainly nice and cool for August. But now we're embarking on the fall. However, one of the remnants that remains behind are the hurricanes.
Yeah.
Houston and Beaumont, Texas were absolutely slaughtered by floods. And I would encourage you all to keep your thoughts and your prayers with those people down there. And I would also, if situation allows, encourage you to send a donation. But I would do it only to a couple or three of the major people
Very good idea,
that
Bill.
you know are going to get the money where it's required. I think the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and I know that Catholic Charities next weekend is doing a major at all their masses asking for donations. Please don't fall for something that you hear on the radio, or worse yet, that you get a phone call on.
Because
help the people in the Delta, help the people down south, they're, blah, 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 blah. Send your money to ALMZ Incorporated, Post Office Box, those things are scams. Don't do it. I mean,
and if you're tempted to donate money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be tempted to, I know Mayor Walsh called for contributions and stuff, and people were bringing in, it's good that they did, but they're so much better off with cash.
Absolutely. What happened last time?
Yeah.
The last major event down there, they threw not everything, but they threw a lot of the stuff away.
And then people tend to also think that this is like a clothing drive or something. You start using used clothes, used shoes, use this. They don't need that.
No, they don't.
And when you give goods, the goods are not, they may be used someplace, but they don't need where they are.
And also you don't know whether they're clean.
Cost of transportation.
And look, here's the deal with that. Send money.
Yeah.
The folks at Walmart will donate the clothing.
Yeah.
And by the way, Walmart is running a special. Donate $1 to the Red Cross. They'll double it.
Yep.
They'll donate too. So that's a good way.
It is. And Walmart has gotten a bad name up here prior because of what was his name, Menino. He hated Walmart.
Oh yeah.
Because they wouldn't play his game.
That's right.
But you look at Walmart, what they're doing now. They're already up to $25 million.
How about J.J. Watt?
Yeah, that's another
the football player. He started something. He hoped to raise $200,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Last time I checked, it was like 16 or 17 million he's raised.
That's he's really.
That's unbelievable. That's
where
great.
are some of these other ego airheads? Where is the Hollywood crowd?
Gee, I don't know. Off at cocktail parties or something.
Where is Hillary? Where are the Clintons?
They're vacationing on Martha's Vineyard.
They had the chutzpah to criticize Trump when he gave $1 million.
Yeah.
That it probably wasn't his money. It probably came from the charitable fund that he has.
Probably money he stole anyway.
Yeah. But they haven't put up a dime. And they were worth, what, $187 million personally, the last I heard. And they got up to almost $1 billion in that charity fund.
Yeah, the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah.
How generous have they been?
Well, you gotta
Because
do
you
that.
know damn right well if they had contributed, they would have
Oh,
trumpeted
God, yeah.
it right out. Yeah. But, you know, now, today, at noontime, the latest advisory on Hurricane Irma
Oh, what is
is
it now?
enough to scare you to death. Category 5, it's over 180 miles an hour.
That's the top category. They're not just...
And this is the strongest ever recorded in the Caribbean basin.
Yep.
And it's taken dead aim on the Hispaniola,
Yeah.
the
Leeward Islands,
Dominican
yeah.
Republic, and Haiti. And then it's, according to the latest advisory
I
now,
watched last night. And
they've changed it.
okay.
They've straightened the curve out. Now it's going to go straight for South Florida.
Yep. Is it going to go into the Gulf?
No, well, God only knows. But the computer models all agree that it's going to hit Florida, southern Florida, and do a 90.
Yeah,
Straight north. Hurricanes are unpredictable.
Oh, yeah,
How the
they're
hell
very-
all the computers are agreeing this is going to happen is that's pretty unusual.
That's very unusual because it usually looks like spaghetti when they come
Yeah,
out them lines.
yeah. Well, check out the Weather Channel. They're doing it every hour on
I
the
don't know if I want to see it.
Well, I'll tell you, folks, keep the Weather Channel or somebody that you trust on because you don't want to get caught unawares if this thing crawls up the coast.
Yeah.
Anywho, I've got a whole bunch of things to talk about. None of them makes a lot of sense. There's no rhyme nor reason.
That's normal.
Yes. So it's a normal show. But I'm going to ask Dwayne. Dwayne is going to be on the hot seat today. I got lots of questions
Good.
for you today, Dwayne.
I haven't done anything for a week. I just laid around, took antibiotics. So.
Yes, you're sort of like Typhoid Mary here.
I am.
Boy, oh boy.
I had the worst cold I ever had in my life, and it got into my ears. And I'm deaf in my left ear right now.
And this is why he's sitting this way so he doesn't have to listen to
If I
me.
don't want to hear him,
Well,
I
it's
just
going to
turn
be
my head.
hand signals. The top 5 states for opioid overdose deaths in the United States. I'm going to give them to you. There's no sense
Okay.
playing a guessing game, but
Yeah.
I want you to react.
Yep.
The first one surprised me. The second one surprised me. I don't know what to make of this. West Virginia, 41.5 deaths per 100,000 people. Number 2.
Yep.
Now, West Virginia is a poor state, Appalachia.
Yep. Dirt poor.
No, they don't lead the world on education.
No.
And they're relatively poor. I guess if you combine all 3 of those things, there's a lesson here. But talk to me about the number 2 state, New Hampshire.
That is a phenomenon, but we've heard of this before. You know, New Hampshire was saying they've got a problem. And apparently they really do. They're number 2.
But yeah, now let's take West Virginia, leading the league. New Hampshire, they're not poor.
Nope.
They're well educated. This isn't a poor state by any stretch of the imagination. And it's not some backwoods hick state.
Okay.
So you kind of got,
I suspect. Now, have you seen the ad? I think it's a public service announcement. The little town in West Virginia has got, 694 people or something, one pharmacy, or 904. It don't matter how many. But anyway, they shipped 2 million opioid prescriptions out of there. Or 2 million.
I haven't
pills.
seen that story.
That.
but-
If you divide that by the population,
Yeah.
that's thousands and thousands for each
They
person.
have to sit her up 24 hours a day gobbling those
They
things.
got a little pharmacy and they're dealing out of it.
Oh,
they
sure.
got people from coming all over to buying them there.
Unbelievable.
Florida used to have this prescription mile or something.
Well,
where
they did. Yeah, exactly. So now we get back into Appalachia again for the number 3 spot, Kentucky.
Kentucky. I was going to guess Kentucky on that one.
I guess what we said about West Virginia goes. Kentucky is sort of like West Virginia light, I
Yeah,
guess.
they're brother and sister there.
Yeah. Number 4, Ohio. Wouldn't think that they'd be up there.
Well, you got to remember, Ohio on the southern side borders Kentucky.
Well, it
and
does.
on the southeast side borders West Virginia.
Yeah, and you know, I've told people, many times, just talking about cities that we enjoy going to and stuff like that. But Cincinnati is the South.
Oh,
it's not the North.
You take, we lived in Ohio.
Yeah.
And you take a person from Ohio, if they were from Cincinnati or Cleveland, 2 ends of the states, they said, where are you from? You know, one's got a real southern drawl and the other one's got a neutral.
I know it. You go to Cincinnati and all you can get is hee-haw music on the
right.
radio.
You can't even land in Cincinnati. You got to land in Kentucky.
Well,
across
that's
the
right.
river.
Yeah, absolutely. But nonetheless, I enjoy Cincinnati. Got business there, and they got some good restaurants there.
Yes, they
Plus,
do.
they got Cincinnati chili.
Yep.
Man, that is to die for.
Don't forget WKRP.
W.
I haven't seen that in years.
They had a radio station, very conservative, 700, the big one. I used to listen to that all the time when I was in that part of the world. And number 5, and for all intents and purposes, tied with Kentucky and Ohio, Rhode Island.
Yep.
Now we're back up into the intelligentsia, if you will, of the East Coast. What gives here? This
don't
doesn't
know.
make sense, Dwayne.
There is no rhyme or reason. I can see West Virginia and Kentucky.
Yeah, they're so poor that in a lot of cases there's a lot of unemployment.
And drugs are a release or an entertainment, or, you know, both. You know, it's whatever reason that they are there, they would have the reasons. Because it's pretty destitute. I mean, it's very depressing. I used to
I
have
know.
part of that territory when I was in the Army,
Oh,
and it was folks. If you've never traveled through Appalachia, you see poverty in other countries. There's poverty there. It's really poverty. It's like deep, deep south has got some areas too. But we've got some pockets in this country that we're just as bad as, that they're just as bad as parts of Africa.
and you know what? It's 4th and 5th generation
Absolutely.
poverty.
Yep.
That people that either can't or won't
They don't
help themselves.
They don't move.
No. Yeah, I'm from West Virginia, and that's it. You know, holy cow. But you're right. Northern Georgia, Rabun Gap, R-A-B-U-N, up there, that was an industrialized area because there was a large labor pool up there. Graniteville built some textile mills up there, and the Foxborough Company, of course, was a big supplier to Graniteville textiles. But it was the land that time forgot up there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. A recent study at Harvard Medical says the villains are doctors by prescribing opioids carelessly and in a great quantity, i.e., a tooth extraction should be no more than 4 pills. Yet studies show doctors routinely prescribing as many as 100 pills.
Yeah, I'm not surprised there.
Yeah.
I had broken ribs, and they gave me a prescription for 60 at the hospital for when I went to have them x-rayed. I got another prescription for 60, and they said if you need another prescription, just call me. I'll get you another 60. That's 180.
Yeah. How many could you take at once?
I was taking them 3 times a day, then I took them 2 times a day, and after a while I didn't need them anymore, so I didn't take them because they were prednisone, but they didn't really do anything, except they made you a little tired. Otherwise, with broken ribs, trying to sleep is almost impossible.
You know, one of the great things about this show, folks, is we can just wander
Yeah, we just
around
wander around
talking
and-
about anything here. But I loved my Aunt Irene, my dad's sister. She was one of the nicest people that God ever put on the face of the earth. Wonderful, wonderful person. And to see her at the end of her life with bone cancer, and just slightest bit of rolling would crack the bones. The last week of her life was, it was a tragedy. I mean, and they finally, the doctors finally loaded her up with all kinds of things to, but it still was.
It is terrible. One of my favorite salesmen who worked in, he had ended up with bone cancer, and same thing there. They were taking him off a gurney, putting him in bed, and they broke several bones on him. Just moving him out of bed, into bed. And the pain was awful, and he'd have to go through these bone marrow tests. Drill into the bone, and the doctor say, "I'm sorry, there's no anesthetic that I can give you
that will
numb that. We can numb it on the surface, but once you get into that bone, he said it was just hang on."
Brutal. Which brings me to my next mini subject, if you will. I think that in this country, we have got to address long-term care insurance for the elderly. The folks from the Depression, from World War II, from Korea, who built and defended this country are now faced with spending the rest of their time in nursing homes, care facilities, and yet, and what happens is they're forced to spend their money down to nothing.
That's right.
And there's nothing to leave their children. But yet the rich can structure all sorts of ways to hang on to their estates. Now, do we offer long-term care insurance to the elderly? No. But we give benefits to illegal aliens. No, I need that explained to me.
Not a lot of sense, Bill. That is the unexplainable. We do things that are just defy logic. And it's been that way for a long time, and I think it's getting worse instead of better.
Sure, just explain to me why, if someone enters this country illegally and has no papers, we have to keep them and take care of them. And there are those amongst us that say, we can't return them to the hellholes they came from. They worked so hard to get into this country. They got into this country by breaking our laws. And if we enforce those laws fairly, that's the right thing to do. What they're doing is you've got a queue out here of people that are trying to get into this country legally, that are standing in line. And the people that come in across the borders illegally jump in front of all these people that are doing it the right way. This is wrong.
Absolutely. And we have legal immigrants in this country that agree with you. Now, my son's father-in-law is Chinese. Of course, his wife's Chinese. That makes sense.
Well, that makes sense,
Said, you get talking to him about immigration. And he came here, he and his wife escaped the Cultural Revolution in China. They traveled 30 days. They traveled at night. Hid during the day, traveled at night, because they were landowners. They would have been held sent to a reform camp and probably killed. And she was a teacher. That was even two of them. Had
there's a double whammy.
So they finally made it to Myanmar, which was Burma. And the stuff they went through to get to Burma, and then he illegally got not illegally, into this country, and he worked to get his family for years and years and years, 25, 30 years, to one at a time, getting through the legal process. And he says, I don't care about the money, but it's a huge money if I look back how much money I spent to get him to come here. And he said, once we get here then they'd start working, and they would contributed money to get the others. He said they did it right.
That's right.
But it really irritates him, these people that just will come in the back door or across the border. Or,
and say, give
Now
us
give me.
welfare,
Yeah.
give us
Yeah.
health care, and we want housing too.
Yep.
And not some shack either. We want to live someplace decent.
That's right.
And yet, the left wing of America
Oh.
says we've got to bring these people in and take care of them. Well, it's like that old movie Lifeboat in World War II. You know, only so many people fit in the lifeboat
That's
before
right.
the lifeboat capsizes and everybody dies. Well, I have a heartbreaking story to tell you. Dwayne. And it's going to break my heart if I can't figure out what direction I got the stuff flowing in here. But well, I don't know what the devil I've done here, but I think I get it backwards, but well, phooey. Oh, I know.
Just jump in.
I know. There it is.
Okay.
This is one of these advice columns in the paper, and it's all you write in about problems you're having with relationships. Former girlfriend won't let her ex-boyfriend see their dogs.
Oh my God, no.
And she said, now, and so they haven't he didn't have a place to keep the dogs, so they
Yep.
had this temporary adjustment in court between the two of them that she would keep the dogs.
Okay.
Now he wants to come see him, and she said, unless you're willing to move back in with me, you cannot see the dogs. Move back in with me like it used to be, and you can see the dogs 24/7.
You can see who wants to extend that relationship.
Now, I have a sense of outrage about this. Folks, I'm going to bare my soul to you. But I'm outraged by this. And here's the outrage. We allow these two morons to vote in elections. Okay? That's the outrage. I mean, you hate to say, look, we have to have a bar. You have to be able to get over the bar to vote in this country. We talk about an educated and informed electorate. You mean to tell me that you want these two? Oh, Betty, yes. How about this? How about you're accused of a crime?
Okay.
Or sued or something, and you're in court, and these two morons are on the
that's
the
a
jury.
real problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, mind-boggling, folks. Of course, I'm pretty well shot mind-wise anyway, but nonetheless, we must move on to our next subject here. Well, this is a heartbreaker, too. Girl thrown off bridge by nice gentleman, friend of the family.
In Worcester?
Yeah, he's being held on a $1 million cash bail, and he's been a friend of the family for years and years. They had a party. So he grabs the 7-year-old girl and takes her away in a blanket, strangles her, and throws her off a bridge into Lake Quinsigamond.
Yep. That crime is hideous. Hideous. Yeah. I think that there's an attempt. First, they just charged him with, I forgot, was minor charge. Now they charged him with, I think, attempted murder.
That's exactly
right. I think there
right.
should be various degrees of attempted murder.
Yeah. At the time of his arrest, now this is going to really have quite an impact on the amount of faith you have in private schools. Mm-hmm. He was a systems support analyst at the prestigious private Fay School in Southborough. He's been suspended indefinitely.
I should hope so.
His lawyer told reporters that Hubert denies kidnapping the girl, and the charges he faces are just charges. He is a nice gentleman, Welsh said. He's a gentleman with no record, no history with the courts. He's had a great life. Well, maybe up to this point he has.
Probably has.
But he certainly went off the rails with this.
Yeah.
What?
There's something wrong there, because I know that I'm going to use a word that people hate. That's profile.
Yeah.
He doesn't fit the profile of a character like that.
Right.
He does not fit that.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that he's got a professional job. Yeah. Sounds like it could be a professional person. Not that that really makes a whole lot of difference, but it generally it does.
Yeah, some of them as crazy as March is.
Well,
so,
yeah, sure. But usually, you're finding that some loony street bum that's running out there that would do something like that. But there's two intentions.
Or druggie.
Or a druggie, yep. There's two intentions there that should be taken into consideration. I hope they are. One is that, first, it's a kidnapping. Second is he tried to strangle her. And figured maybe he did. He tried to dispose of the body. So it's not like there was no intention there. There's intentions all the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's some possible sexual overtones here, too. Yeah. This is just a bad deal.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It really is.
And I'll tell you what, if they come up with a plea bargain for this guy where he gets 18 months and walks and is on probation for 5 years, they ought to shoot the judge.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. We got crazy judges, too.
Oh, yeah.
We got judges that are nuts.
Yeah. Well, I got another one for you, Dwayne, and you're going to pass sentence on this one.
Okay.
Man bagged at Logan with gun in carry-on. Here's the fellow, and he had a loaded, looks like a 9mm,
9mm.
Pistol, and and one in the chamber. He pleaded not guilty to possessing a weapon in a secure area of an airport and unlawfully carrying a firearm. Both felonies punishable by up to 5 years in prison.
Was he licensed to carry?
I believe he was.
He shouldn't be.
Right. But get a load of this. He made a tragic mistake, according to his lawyer. He was in a hurry. He works at Amazon, and he grabbed the wrong bag before he left home for a work-related trip. This was a tragic mistake on his part. Now he's distraught about it.
That's poppycock.
It is. It's ridiculous.
How do you grab the wrong bag? That means you got a bag, you just picked up a bag and was going to head to the airport. Well, you had to pack the damn thing.
Of course.
Otherwise, it might be your wife's dirty laundry in there. You don't know. And if you packed it and you picked it up, you could feel a pistol like that. That's a heavy weapon.
Now, you and I both spent a large amount of our adult career traveling on the road.
Yes.
Did you ever pick up the wrong bag?
No.
No, neither did I. I mean, how the hell can you? You pack your overnight bag or your traveling bag, and you also pack your suitcase, and you bring your briefcase. I mean, how the devil? This thing doesn't wash. I'm sorry.
It's poppycock. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. And you know what? Now, I said he did have a license to carry. In here, there's nothing in here that says he does.
Well, that still wouldn't absolve him. I've said if he had a license to carry, he should have some common sense.
And he should lose his license.
He should lose his license.
Absolutely. Now, here's a stupid story that really makes me mad. Mainly that a newspaper would print something like this. Mortal Kombat as Fox attacks. Ipswich man kills rabid animal. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but you'd think that he faced a lion with a nail file and killed it. But I got to tell you, he was defending his chickens. He said, this is good, this is the part that I can't believe. He has hunted his whole life and knew there was something wrong with the fox when he saw him. He said he knew foxes usually travel in pairs, and he was surprised to see this one alone in the middle of the day. For him to be out by himself and not running away when I tried to scare him, something was up. This is nonsense. I've spent my life in the woods. Mm-hmm. I've never, ever seen or heard of foxes traveling in pairs. They don't.
They're solitary.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. I have never seen foxes traveling in pairs unless it was late August, early September, and they were pups.
Yep.
And the mother had semi-shooed them away. Mm-hmm. But other than that, they don't do that. It's just so stupid.
I did see one time. We're playing golf. We were playing. This thing like stalked us. We'd go around. He'd stay right on the edge of the green on the green. And he did not look right. He looked mangy.
Could have been, yeah. Oh, all right.
He wouldn't go away.
Well, see, the two things happen. They get rabies and they get the mange.
Yeah.
And the mange kills them too.
Okay, yeah, that's what he had. I think it was mange because he really looked scruffy.
Oh, that's a horrible way to go. Yep. I've trapped them, and I'm doing them a favor by putting them under because they lose their fur. It comes out in clumps. They get like scabs all over themselves. They also, at the end of it, go blind, and they can't eat. They can't find anything to eat. They starve to death. It's an awful way to go. Well, guess what that crazy Charlie Baker did?
Oh, it's hard as hell. You know?
This one here, and the Attorney General's not happy, Maura Healey. But guess what? He appointed a new Fish and Game director for the state of Massachusetts. And guess what?
Did he ask DeLeo first?
I'm sure DeLeo said, go do it. But here's the thing. The guy is the president of GOAL, Gun Owners Action League, and is a lifelong hunter and fisherman. So,
golly,
let's think about this for a second. Who is better as the head of Fish and Game? A hunter or a fisherman? Or someone that's opposed to it that wants to place new restrictions
some Peter Vegan.
On it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And Maura Healey kind of got caught in the middle, and she just threw up her hands and, oh, well.
She's as worthless as the one we had before.
Oh,
they came out of the same mold. I'm sorry, I had no respect for the previous one, and I had very little respect for this one.
Now, I have got something here to talk to you about. Man killed 4 men and burned their bodies in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Now, he has confessed. Mm-hmm. Donato, that's his name, Cosmo Donato, 20, confessed to taking part in the 4 slayings and agreed to plead guilty to 4 first-degree murder counts, attorney Paul Lang said outside a court. I'm sorry, Donato said. The person familiar with his confession said the men were killed after Donato felt cheated or threatened during 3 drug transactions. Donato sold quarter-pound quantities of marijuana for several $1,000s and sold handguns to area residents, the person said. Every death was related to a purported drug transaction, and at the end of each one, there's a killing. Now, he's, I'm sure, going to plead not guilty because drug dealing is a non-violent crime. The liberals say so, and this guy must walk. He's got to be free. I mean, Deval Patrick said so, and he wanted to parole them all. Obama wants to parole them all. So I don't see how this can work. I don't understand this.
Well, drug dealing is not nonviolent, because anytime there's money involved, and a lot of money, the bigger the money, the more violent the whole thing can get. But not necessarily. Sometimes the level is looked at a different. But it doesn't matter. Well, it does, but it doesn't really matter what they're dealing in, whether you're dealing diamonds or gold or drugs, just something that's got a high value commodity. You're going to get violence with it because the sourcing is so important to the person that got it and the person that wants to get it.
Of course, I'm being facetious.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
But, I mean, so many of the parolees by both the president and by the former governor were drug dealers. But they're low-level drug dealers.
Yeah, I know.
And this is a bunch of crap.
It's either pregnant or you're not pregnant.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
you're simply a low-level drug dealer because you don't have the wherewithal to move up.
But boy, oh boy, give you the wherewithal and you'll become a
Give me
big
a big
one.
gun and the right chance, huh?
Here's a nice story. You know, the kids get a bad rap, but here's a boy, 13, that they found a bomb in his house that he built.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yep. The little tykes are growing up fast, Dwayne. They're so young, but they're not responsible. Now, what the devil do you do with this kid? He threatened one of his classmates at Wilmington Middle School. And they went to his house and they found a homemade bomb.
I guess we probably could have interested his kids making homemade bombs too.
Yeah.
Because we were infatuated with making rockets. And we little devils, we wouldn't do our schoolwork, but we'd go to the library and do research. And we found something called potassium nitrate, which was commonly called saltpeter. We found a formula for gunpowder, ground up charcoal, saltpeter, and sulfur. And another one for rocket fuel was powdered sugar and potassium. I shouldn't even say this; the kids will hear this.
Don't listen, kids.
But anyway, off we were, trying to make rockets. That would never worked.
Yeah. Well, we never did anything like that, but we used to get cherry bombs and bury them so only the wick was sticking out and then set them off, and we were pretending we were blowing things up.
You'd have been a terrorist bomb.
Yeah. Well, but seriously, Dwayne, I've got to ask the question: where the hell are the parents?
Yeah, if you get these kids that are trying to make pipe bombs and things, these are anti-personnel things.
Yeah,
that's serious.
They got some anger issues.
They got some problems. Yeah.
Yeah, and you leave them alone and things get worse in school. Yeah. And guess what's going to happen?
Oh yeah,
they're going to take action.
They're going to take action,
and the parents are going to say, "Oh, my little Leonard, I never suspected a thing."
No,
give me a break.
Parents don't get involved with their kids enough today.
Well, you're absolutely.
And I don't know how you feel about this. And I only had one son, and we always were on him up front, and we were always sneaking in the back. What's he doing? Where's he going? He never got in trouble. We never bad kid, but we made damn sure we knew where he was going. Damn sure who the friends were.
We always had their friends to the house.
Yeah, we did too.
Yeah. It's like a turnstile.
Yep.
And that's the way I wanted it.
We would never let him go out to somebody.
And I knew
we didn't
his friends' parents.
Yep.
Made it, or Susie did. I think when she was the parent secretary, I think she knew everybody in town. You can't just say, well, the weekend's here, I'm playing golf. I'm going to play tennis. And all the kids are on their own, I guess.
If there was no such thing as internet, of course, when we were younger. But if there was, like Monica and I had discussed this, would we have looked in Craig's email account.
Emails or
You're damn right we would have. If we could have.
yeah.
We wouldn't have done anything about it. Just look, we never even told them that we looked.
That's like reading your daughter's diary.
Yeah.
Boys don't write diaries; they're too stupid, but
But
or too smart. One or the other.
some parents should have known what was going on, but they didn't.
They didn't want to know.
They didn't want to know.
Because if they did, they'd have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And so many parents want to be their kid's best friend.
That's right, not
And
the parent.
the best friend cannot be a good, a stern parent when sternness is required. But you're right. And the single parent homes, I mean, that's a tragedy. What's happening to the kids?
That was the start, I think, of a lot of kids' problem, a lot of society's problem.
Yeah.
We saw this early in, say, like the black community when there was a fatherless families over and over and over, and the kids would not have that family unit, and they would go to the streets and they'd find that kind of a relationship with gang members. The gangs would form and would substitute, and then that's the problems you run into.
It's a substitute for a family.
Sure.
Yeah, no question about it. By the way, were you thrilled by the eclipse?
Oh, I tell you, I was so excited.
I mean, you would think that this was probably the greatest thing that ever happened, to listen to some of the people.
Yep.
Oh, well, we're going to watch it over at Louie's house. He had a great view. And oh, boy, this is going to be something. Quite a few of us are getting together over there, blah, blah.
I turned on, I think it was Science Channel that had it. And they picked the first one up in Oregon. Showed the whole thing, the full thing. Oh, and then they were moving to Idaho. And then they were going to watch it in some other state. And then another state. I watched the first one. I said, there's not going to be anything different. It's just the same thing you just saw now.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see it on TV because you could see the whole thing.
Yeah, you could look at it.
You could look at it, yeah.
And you could see it much closer than it was.
But these people that drove, there were some people in Oregon, I think it was Oregon, they drove 1,000 miles to get there.
Oh, I know.
Camped for 2 days. I guess we just don't appreciate things, Bill.
You know what? I think you've probably got something there. Now, this lady in Tingsboro, involved in a fatal crash, had 2 priors for intoxication, and this was her third. She killed someone this time.
Yeah.
Her license was revoked in December 2005, a month after she was charged with her second OUI. She was convicted of her first in '87. So she was she lost her license for 10 years. In 2015, she was reinstated that she drive 2 years with an ignition interlock device.
Yeah.
Okay?
Usually it's like a breathalyzer. You got to blow into it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, she would have been eligible to have the device removed on September 12th. Guess what she did on, I think it was the last day of August. 12 days to go before they remove all encumbrances.
She went out and got
She go out and got stinking drunk and killed somebody.
Yep.
Now, she is going to get the stupid award of the week, I think. She also has on her record, going back to 1985, 6 license suspensions, 4 surchargeable accidents, 2 chemical test refusals, and 2 speeding tickets. But other than that, she's really been a straight arrow. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
We've got to find a better way to keep these people off the road.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a disgraced T-cop, MBTA cop, who beat up a homeless lady, has been fired and given a 6-month jail stint with the rest of her sentence, sentenced to 18 months behind bars, but will only serve 6 months, with the 12 months hanging over her head for 2 years if she violates probation. When a police officer assaults a prisoner, especially a drunken, homeless person, is 6 months in jail and being fired, is that adequate?
Nah, 6 months is light.
It is.
Firing, I take that should be automatic.
Absolutely.
But and the stipulation you never work in law enforcement again.
Oh, right. You're right.
That you can fire here and they go to the next town and take the job there. You know that the law enforcement, you got to have thick skins and a lot of patience.
And a lot of intelligence.
Yeah, a lot of intelligence to analyze what's going on here. And I can see sometimes where they get pushed to the point where they break. But you can't do that. There was a case about a year and a half, 2 years ago. They were a high-speed chase through Massachusetts up into New Hampshire, and they finally got
and then the guys got out and started pounding on
him. I said to Monica, uh-oh,
yeah,
that's going to blow up in their face.
Well, it is, and it should.
Yep.
I mean, I don't care how frustrated you are.
Yeah.
You cannot allow yourself to do that.
That's right.
Because you step over the line, and you are as bad as they are.
As they are. Now, a case in point just recently is the nurse taking the blood from the unconscious patient.
Yep.
Now, that cop should have known, and his supervisor should have known the law, because there had been court cases just decided that without a warrant, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And she told me you can't do that. So they showed.
And he lost his temper.
Oh yeah, you're not going to defy me.
Yeah, that's right. I'm God. You know, if there is a reasonable apparatus that's going to look at that, he is going to get I would say, a 1-year suspension at least, if not outright fired.
Yeah, because it's the only defense he's going to say is, in ignorance of the law is no defense. He said, I wasn't aware of that court decision.
Yeah,
but
ignorance
he should have been,
no excuse.
That's the kind of
law.
thing that should have been brought up in their ready room, in their briefings when they go out on patrol. That this is what's new now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't do this anymore.
And if not, you have to indict the whole police department and say this is a shoddy damn operation. Yeah. New Hampshire police clock 2 women from Massachusetts. Both of them, not together, separate incidents. Both of them driving over 100 miles per hour. One of them, Angelina Clemens, age 25, she said there was no reason for me speeding. The other one, Nicole Connoyer, was going 119. And she stated that she was unaware of her speed and was trying to make an exit. How the heck do you exit at 119 miles an hour?
You don't.
You've got to immediately roll over 12 times and die.
You've got to be aware of your speed at a certain point. When them point lines are going that fast.
Yeah.
If you're not, you shouldn't be driving.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
What is the cardinal rule? That speed should not be excessive, given it should be, in other words, it should be common sense, taking into consideration the road, the traffic, the weather conditions, and they just defy this.
Yeah. The other one I did find humorous though one day last year. There was a report from New Hampshire that somebody got clocked at 144 miles an hour in a Dodge Omni. There's never been a Dodge Omni that will do 140 miles an hour.
Unless it was off the edge of a cliff on the way down.
To the junkyard.
Well, I think we've hit an all-time low here now by the newspapers. We have pictures of Ivanka Trump, Mrs. Trump.
Yeah.
And here she was criticized for wearing spike heels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Going,
it doesn't matter.
going down to Houston. And then she was criticized for wearing sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this poor woman, unless she wears snowshoes, apparently can't please the press.
I bet you if she wore Dutch wooden clogs, they would have found a reason for that, too.
To make a noise. Clog
noise?
Clog. That tree was an endangered
It's
species.
an endangered species tree, yep.
Yeah. By the way, here's an interesting story. At Princeton, this college, Ivy League school, men, now you must temper your masculinity, because if you are accused
Yep.
of sexual impropriety, accused, you must go through a course and pass it about cooling your jets.
We're walking, as far as personal freedoms go, we're walking on dangerous territory on some of this stuff.
Yeah, wasn't one of the tenets of our country is that you are innocent until proven guilty?
Absolutely.
Not at Princeton. What? Boy, oh boy. Hey, by the way, speaking of stupid things, one of the most embarrassing things I ever remember was repeated on TV here not too long ago. It was a flashback of Hillary Clinton and the Russian ambassador and her having the reset button and pushing it.
Ridiculous.
And she ran for president.
I know. Okay. There's one thing I want to bring up.
Go ahead.
They just approved this Fairmont extension into Foxborough. And they're going to use the
Yes, the Fairmont line
yeah,
extension.
the Fairmont line into Foxborough. Now, the people in Fairmont, there's a woman there that should be called out on this. She had this in the Globe that she was very concerned. She didn't want this to go through. And when questioned why, well, first it was because their train is going to Foxborough. And what if it breaks down in Foxborough? Then their train would be broke coming back. That's not right. Well, that's like saying, well, we shouldn't let the Norfolk train go to Franklin, because what if it breaks down in Franklin and then it won't come back to pick up Norfolk?
What they do is they run one out from South Station to get the
that's-
people. Yeah,
But that was one thing. Then she said, well, why can't you just put them on buses in Foxborough and drive them to different stations so they don't get on the Fairmont line? But later in the article comes out the real reason.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. What did Paul Harvey say?
The rest of the story.
She says, and I'm going to quote on this because I don't want to be accused of being a racist. Miles, her name is Pamela Miles,
All right.
a big mouth, always in the news, noted there are 500 parking spots at Gillette Stadium and worried the trains would be full of suburban passengers by the time it pulls into Fairmont.
No.
That could potentially result in the terrible situation, which this is her quotation. This could result in a terrible situation which all riders from Foxborough, likely white, will be sitting, while the riders in Fairmont line, more likely people of color, will now have to stand. Well, my friend of mine, the professor, he says, maybe we should bring back segregation.
There you go.
This is a white car down here in Foxborough. You can't get in the black car because that's saved for the Fairmont people.
There you go. That makes sense to me.
If somebody else made that statement,
Yeah. Yeah.
if the town of Wellesley said, we don't want this train going into a black area first because it will fill up with black people before we get here, we won't have a seat, they go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. If a right-wing writer wrote that,
Oh, God, that would be just...
they'd be taken out
They'd go crazy.
and strung up. Oh, man. That's a great story. I have a great one here. A city employee was fired, this is good, for stealing $93,000 from the city of Gainesville, Florida, which she spent on her cable bill, food, a television set, highway tolls, and a butt lift.
That must have been one hell of a butt lift because there wasn't much else to spend that on. Just a couple of bucks here,
Yeah.
a couple of bucks there. How big
Must have been one hell of a butt.
how big was that butt? Yeah?
How come nobody wears pork pie hats anymore?
I don't know.
Not getting many answers here. Have you ever watched any of the ads on, especially on Nessun, Billy and Jenny Dining Out show?
Yeah, I know who that is. Yep.
Yeah. Is there a more tiresome woman than this nonstop squawk machine,
Yep.
Jenny Johnson? She is like the fingers across the
Yep.
chalkboard. Oh. And one more thing, 52,404 people died of drug overdoses in the year 2016.
That's more than auto
And
accidents.
I believe it's going to go up again. Oh, here's one last one. The mayor of Venice said snipers will shoot any rioters yelling Allahu Akbar.
Yep.
So I would be very careful in Venice if I
would
were
too.
you. And Missouri has lowered their minimum wage from $10 to $7.70
I
last
saw that.
week.
They were-
Yeah.
It was a quote from the Wall Street Journal.
Whereabouts
They went
is-
backwards.
Whereabouts is the outrage there? We haven't heard of any
It
of
just
that.
snuck in. There was a little blurb in the Globe. That was all there was.
And I got one last thing, and we're going to have to say goodnight. But a survey says 78% of workers are living paycheck to paycheck. They're
That's
not
right.
saving anything.
They said they would have trouble if the $400 expenditure came up to come up with that $400.
So that's where we'll stop.
Okay.
Friends, I hope that you enjoyed our little soiree into the ridiculous. And you come on back for some more, because I promise you, we got more.
Yeah. If we don't make you think or make you mad, we didn't do our job.
That's exactly right. And I was working on the show this week, and I've already got another show ahead for more meatier things. So if you thought this was kind of flippant, we got some more heavy material to cover. So with that said, enjoy the fall, enjoy the Patriots, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.